Hi everyone, thanks for joining us for another edition of the Careers and Employability Services in Conversation with series. I'm Naomi, a Careers and Employability Coordinator here at the University of Cumbria, and I'm joined today by Ben Walker. Ben is the founder and creative director of Firefly, a branding and digital design agency based in Edinburgh. Ben oversees all of Firefly's creative projects, working closely with the design team to ensure communications are delivered to a consistently high standard. Renowned for his expertise in brand strategy, advertising and digital, he has helped countless organisations to build brand awareness, connect with their target audience and achieve long-term commercial success. In addition to sharing his knowledge and experience through Firefly's social media platforms and journal articles, he has been involved in numerous educational initiatives. This has included temporarily standing in as a creative and digital industries lecturer at Borders College, delivering design lectures for BBC Make It Digital at Edinburgh College, and volunteering as a mentor for Creative Edinburgh. Ben, thanks for joining us today.
Hi.
Very pleased to have you here. So, sounds like you've had a really interesting career building up your own digital design and branding agency. Did you always want to work in a creative job role?
I think probably from maybe halfway through high school, I was pretty sure that I wanted to pursue a career in graphic design. It's a subject matter that's always excited me, and it's something I'll always be passionate about. So, yeah, so probably around about that sort of time, I sort of made a choice that was the sort of path that I was keen to follow.
Absolutely, yeah. So once you made that choice, how did you go about finding about the world of work and opportunities in design and branding?
Well, it's something that branding, something that's I've been interested in since a very early age. I was always excited, particularly about logo design, and I used to draw logos in my sketch pads from maybe even sort of 6, 7, 8 years old. And yeah, design and branding is such a visible medium that you couldn't walk down the street without being engaged by brands, from transport advertising on a bus to the logo on a car bonnet to road signs. It's everywhere, and it's a constant source of inspiration for the work that we do.
That's really interesting, thank you. So I mentioned before that you undertook the process of setting up your own business. Could you tell us a little bit more about how that came about and perhaps why it was something that you wanted to do?
Sure. So upon graduating from what was then Cumbria Institute of the Arts, I worked for about 7 years full time for a couple of well-established design agencies in Edinburgh. And then I spent 4 years freelancing at lots of different agencies. And that experience, gave me a good insight how different agencies operated, and sort of lay the foundations for setting up my own agency, Firefly, which launched in 2014. We have a small but very talented team, and we offer quite an extensive range of services, and that's great because it ensures our clients' communications they're delivered consistently across all channels, whether it's advertising, branding, video, design for print, whatever touch point their brand is being promoted on, it's produced in a consistent fashion. So that's maybe a bit different to some other agencies that specialize in solely, that you get lots of advertising agencies, or you'll get a lot of digital agencies, but often they don't offer quite as broad a spectrum of services. We also thrive on working across a variety of sectors, which allows us to adapt to create for a whole load of different types of brands. So it's something different every day, and that's something I love, and something that I would always champion. Any young designer should try to diversify their opportunities to work in different sectors, and certainly, building a portfolio as well. That would be a key consideration on that as well. If you were to build a portfolio that was full of food and drink brands, for example, work that you've done for food and drink brands, then you would kind of pigeonhole yourself into prospectively working only for food and drink agencies. You know, it would be more difficult for an agency that had a lot of corporate clients to sort of visualize how you could work for a bank, for example, if all your work is of a certain niche. So diversifying your portfolio would be something I would recommend. Sorry, that wasn't really part of the question, but I got off on one.
No, I think that advice will be really useful to some of our students and upcoming graduates, and thinking about how they can show a range of diverse skills and build up that diverse portfolio. So no, that's really great. So then thinking about working for yourself and, running your own agency and that process of setting up your own business, are there any particular challenges or benefits that stand out to you, as being the founder and director of Firefly?
Yeah, we're quite a small company, and so I think my biggest challenge is probably finding the time to do everything that I need to. My role, my job title is creative director, but I also handle new business inquiries, existing client liaison, estimating, invoicing, bookkeeping for the accounts, project management, recruitment, HR, and yeah, the list goes on. It's there's a lot to do. I think some larger agencies might have, a person in each of those roles, and yeah, so I kind of need to spin a few plates in that sense. But having said that, I do enjoy what I do, and I think if you can follow a career path that is something that you're going to enjoy, then it's going to be much more rewarding.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that is always good advice, to try and find something that you're passionate about and that you enjoy. I definitely agree with that. So was there anything that you think was perhaps particularly useful or most useful to you when you were first kind of going about setting up your own business and moving from that kind of, I suppose, world of freelance into working for yourself? Was there anything that you found particularly useful that our graduates and our students could maybe take on board?
Yeah, there's a lot of things, to be honest, but I mean, probably the connections I'd made throughout my career to that point. Yeah, I mean, starting a business is a huge learning curve, and yeah, it does have benefits, but yeah, there's a lot to learn, and having a wide network of people in the industry that I could call on for advice and support was really something that probably stands out. On everything from speaking to other agency owners I had freelanced for on things like employment contracts or getting recommendations for an accounting software, to I sort of got to know a lot of freelance designers and developers through the work that I'd done, so I could call on them when I had an overflow of work. Also organizations like Business Gateway, and there's the Federation of Small Businesses. They were both really, really helpful, and I'd certainly recommend anyone who's setting up their own business to look for any support like that, and any advice they can get from any organization like that is really useful. The Federation of Small Businesses actually has employment contracts, downloadable employment contracts that you can tailor yourself. Their membership, I think it varies in cost depending on the size of your business, but I would definitely recommend them. They can give legal advice, for HR and all sorts. So they're definitely been a really good resource. So yeah.
Fantastic. So we'll include a couple of links to the Business Gateway and the Federation of Small Businesses alongside this podcast then, so that students and graduates can have a look at those. I think that would be really useful for them. So in terms of career highlights, could you perhaps walk us through a couple of those?
I think probably some of the projects that I've worked on, they probably stand out in my mind. Creating brand guidelines for Dettol, Citizens Advice Scotland, and the Yorkshire Dales National Park were sort of really projects I was quite proud of. They were, guidelines documents varied in length from maybe 20 or 30 pages up to, I think the Yorkshire Dales National Park brand guidelines were about 120 pages long, and covered everything from signage to apparel and all sorts. So yeah, that was, they were nice projects where you get to really outline how a brand should be applied. But I've also worked on some really great household brands, like Highland Spring, Tennent's Lager, lots of whiskies, cheeses, lots of stuff that you would see in the shop that, it's quite nice to see the on-pack promotion that you've designed in the shop.
Yeah.
So, these sort of projects were all quite nice. And I think in general, just throughout my career, it's been such a wide range of client type. And I think developing the ability to be able to adapt to design for an eclectic range of brands, that's very satisfying. I'd feel very confident that I could design for, automotive or, financial or charity or what other, any sector really. And I think once you've designed for one sector, then you kind of get a good sort of understanding of the look and feel of what something should look like for that sector. So that's certainly, things that I think are stand out in my mind. And following on, I think always looking to learn from others. I think that would be a huge recommendation to any young designer. So I've always looked to learn from, more experienced creatives, and yeah, I wouldn't be where I am now if I hadn't, worked with so many fantastic people, because the design industry's definitely got a great creative people are good to work with. They're fun to work with, and collaborating with a team, it'll always help to improve a project, and getting different viewpoints and working through various iterations on any creative project will always elevate it, and it will result in a better outcome.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I suppose it's about, working with people and going back to what you were saying before as well about developing relationships then and having those networks and connections there.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's all sort of really, really important, and yeah, it is a fantastic industry to be in. So I'd heavily recommend it to anyone. So.
Brilliant. And I'm getting the sense that your work involves a lot of variety and, as you've said, a lot of diversity. But is it possible to walk our listeners through maybe a typical work day for you, or perhaps some things that you are frequently involved in, perhaps for any students and upcoming graduates who are interested in working in an agency environment?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can. It's genuinely no day is the same. Partially because of the diversity of work that we do, but I guess currently, as we're working from home, my day is sort of made up of a lot of video calls, whether that's reviewing ongoing projects with designers or liaising with existing clients, or it could be new business calls. So I guess my schedule currently is sort of broken up amongst lots of video calls, and then I just try and fill the gaps with time to cover all the stuff behind the scenes for running a business. You're doing your accounting, sort of bookkeeping, and all this sort of stuff as well. I write a lot of emails. It's maybe not sounding it. It doesn't sound as exciting, but I think if we were in the studio, it would be a bit different. But yeah, I feel like I've dodged that question a bit. But
no, it's fine.
There generally isn't any sort of day that's the same as the previous one. Yeah, it's different every day.
That's great to hear. I think people, who enjoy the variety and enjoy that kind of maybe faster paced and varied environment, will find that really useful. So thinking about perhaps students and upcoming graduates who are unsure about their career path, What kind of advice would you give to someone in that situation?
I guess I would ask, if are they enjoying what they're doing? Because obviously, if you can enjoy what what you do as a career path, then you're gonna have a better life. So I guess if anyone was hesitant, I would recommend, speaking to friends, family, your tutor, fellow students. It could just be a temporary loss of confidence or whatever else is going on in your life that's, made you uncertain, whether it's the career path for you. But, a loss of confidence, something that's probably quite common in creatives at times during their life and career. And I think talking things through with others, that generally helps. Designers try to find at least one internship prior to or after graduating. Experience, it's a requirement on almost every job advert in this industry, and even for junior positions. So it's crazy, but even if it's unpaid, a short internship for a week or two is a great opportunity to learn from other creatives and get an insight into the sort of day-to-day running of an agency. And you'll be able to include that on your CV as well, which can, show your initiative to seek out and do that internship, but it'll also help to differentiate you from other applicants who maybe haven't done an internship. So I think that's one of my first recommendations to any student: try and get an internship. And the second thing I'd probably highlight is to tailor your job applications. So I receive applications almost daily from designers seeking jobs. And yeah, it's those who tailor their approach that probably grab my attention. I can spot a sort of blanket standard email, dear sir or madam, or to who it may concern. I think, if you're genuinely interested in working at a particular agency, you should sort of do your research and, understand what sort of agency they are. You can make a quick phone call to the agency and find out who to address your application to. So it starts to be more personal. And then, research the agency a bit. And maybe mention something in your something unique to them in your application, even if it's as simple as saying how much you loved a project that they worked on, or you found a journal or blog article they'd written insightful. These sort of things where you talk about them and not just yourself. That sort of application would generally be well received. And I think putting in that little bit of extra work at that stage, instead of sending the blanket email, it'll demonstrate that you've spent time getting to know the agency. So it'll increase the likelihood you'll get a response. And yeah, I think tailoring it. I've even had applications where someone's named the wrong agency.
Oh no, that's awkward.
In their email. So attention to detail for me is like really important in our line of work. You make a mistake and someone gets 5,000 reports printed, then it can be quite costly. So you have to try and rule out those mistakes. So if someone is going to name the wrong agency when they apply, then it's so I think tailoring applications is important.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the type of advice that we give out as well. And something that, with some time and with some attention is something that graduates can really work on. And as you've kind of highlighted, it can really help their chances of success as well. So yeah, brilliant advice.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Ben. That's all from me. It's been really great to have you on our series, and I'm sure the information that you've shared with us will be really useful for our students and upcoming graduates.
That's perfect, Naomi. Thank you.
Thanks very much.